Let's speak to Richard Houghton from the campaign group HS2 Action Alliance. Morning to you.
Good morning.
What do you think then about a major part of this new report out today, that there's going to be an HS3, it is going to cut journey times between Leeds and Manchester almost in half? A lot of businesses listening to this morning will say that is a very good thing.
Yeah, I think Adam's right when he says that it's not necessarily going to be a high-speed link, but I think we've been saying for 4 years, as has the Transport Secretary and academia and northern businesses, that linking Hull to Liverpool, east to west, is a great thing. It's certainly what all the evidence shows you need to build your regional economies, these intra-regional links. Unfortunately, what it doesn't do is make the case for HS2 any better at all, which is kind of fatally flawed, both economically and environmentally.
Why, in your opinion, does this not add up then to the whole picture by adding this HS3 in?
Because, as I said, we definitely endorse intra-regional links because that allows the regional trade to grow. But connecting any city outside of London to London, which is 9 times bigger than the nearest economy, is going to do one thing. It's going to drag the best and the brightest and the money to the centre, to London. And you only have to look at their own figures from HS2. They're saying 80% of journeys will begin and end in London. So, it's simple. It's going to be great for London, but connecting those northern economies to London is going to be bad for them.
Is that necessarily the case? Because one of the arguments in favour of High Speed 3, this kind of trans-Pennine fast route, it's often compared to the fast routes between London and, say, somewhere like Milton Keynes, which is the same distance or equidistant between Manchester and Leeds, for example. And they're saying, look what's happened in Milton Keynes. There's half the journey time, there's double the routes, and this is an expanding town. Why wouldn't that happen in the north of England?
I say, we're not against east to west links. We think this should happen.
But why wouldn't that same expansion happen in the north of England?
Well, it will happen if you put east to west and you allow that regional area.
I'm talking about High Speed 2 now. Why wouldn't that happen with that?
Well, because High Speed 2 is only going to connect London to these economies. And if you look at the reality, they're suggesting the economic growth that's going to be driven is, their KPMG report, is solely because there's no transport links. It doesn't allow for the fact that there's a lack of capital or lack of skills. Look at Doncaster. It's had a direct train link to London for decades. It simply isn't growing. So to suggest that this one train line is going to solve the economic issues is simply untrue.
I mean, it's a long way from actually happening, this new interconnection regionally. There's no route yet. There's no timetable to build it. No money's been confirmed. But ironically, it's someone like you, a kind of anti-High Speed 2 route person, would actually say, well, actually, that is something that we should get on with.
Well, I don't think it's ironic at all. I think we're against ultra-high-speed rail and a single link between London. What we are suggesting, and all the academic evidence proves this, and you look around the world, it proves it, that building intra-regional connections is exactly what's needed. So it's directly consistent with what the sector's been saying. It's unfortunate it's taken the government 4 to 5 years to catch up. And I understand why they don't want to debate HS2 with us online, but they have to accept the fact that HS2 is fundamentally flawed. Jim O'Neill, the Regional Cities Commissioner, only last week said in his report that HS2 won't do anything to support the growth in the north, but the intra-regional connections that they're talking about this morning will. I mean, it's 2 entirely different projects, and I think the evidence is very clear.
Richard Houghton, thank you.